When you look at dollar yen, I'm looking at 143 to the dollar. You got to know, a lot of people are talking about the yen being undervalued. Does that make the Japanese equity market an attractive buy at the moment? And when do you see an upside to the Japanese currency?
So I think the time for the Japanese currency to recover strongly is coming closer and closer. The biggest reason is that, just even over the last few days, we've had a number of announcements of significant wage increases. Tokyo Electron announced 40% wage increase for new hires. Mitsui Fudosan announced 10%. Eon announced 7%. And I think that's what the BOJ has been waiting for. If you look at the inflation data, it's been quite strong. We've had 6 months of 4% plus core inflation in Japan, 20 months where inflation has exceeded 2% at the headline level. So I think with this wage growth data starting to come out, I think the BOJ is likely to move fairly soon after the spring wage negotiations. And so I think, rather than the second half of the year, we may actually see the yen recover significantly in the first half. And I think right now, given the last 2 days of weakness in the yen, it's a good time to enter. And that provides a big tailwind for people investing in the Japanese market.
And speaking of that tailwind, Zuhair, to what extent does the weaker yen also translate into higher earnings expectations for these Japanese companies?
Well, I think there you have a very mixed bag because Japanese exporters early last year, they were forecasting their earnings based on, yen of around 130, 135. And just a few months ago, they put it at 140, 145. So they're baking in quite a weak yen into their forecast. So I think there is some downside risk on earnings growth there, simply from the yen aspect. But if you ignore the yen aspect, I think otherwise earnings are going to be fairly robust for Japanese companies. And then on the flip side, where you have Japanese importers, as the yen recovers going into this coming year, I think they can benefit a lot. And that would include stocks such as furniture retailers, discount stores, food and staples companies who are importing the raw material, the foodstuffs. So I think they can be beneficiaries of a stronger yen going into this year.